People are angry. They're frustrated. And I want to be very clear about what happened tonight. The right-wing billionaires outspent us 3-1. They exploited an environment in which people are appropriately upset. And they created an electoral dynamic where we were literally shadowboxing.
So there was nothing that he did. That was a liberal San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin last night after voters ousted him in a recall election. This could send a ripple effect across the United States, including Los Angeles, where DA George Gascon is facing his second recall attempt in 2 years. And then there's New York City, where DA Alvin Bragg is getting loads of criticism for his progressive policies, including from the city's own Democrat mayor. A recent poll found a whopping 76% of New Yorkers fear they will be a victim of violent crime in New York. Joining me right now is the chairman and CEO of the Stagwell Group. He is the Harris Poll chairman as well, Mark Penn, former senior advisor to the Clintons. Mark, great to see you. What'd you make of the San Francisco ouster?
Well, it's really incredible because to have the voters of San Francisco say they've had it with conditions here that no, the progressive experiment that DAs did produced more crime, more loss of lives, and to actually oust one, an incredible maneuver. I think this whole movement here could be undone, and we could be back to DAs that actually have to enforce the law pretty quickly.
So do you think this is going to reverberate across the country? I mean, look at this, whether or not this is a sign, bad sign for Democrats. The latest ABC News poll shows that the economy is the top issue for how Americans will determine their vote in November. 80% say inflation, 74% say gas prices will affect their vote, but you've also got crime high up.
Well, you do, and 2 or 3 years ago, crime would not have registered. It's a major issue. 70% of the voters say that violent crime is up in every major city. And most importantly, when you ask people, what do you do about the crime? The number one thing they say is DA should enforce the law. We have to do something about mental illness. And then third on the list is doing something about guns.
Yeah, it's incredible to me that this administration does not see the polls and say, OK, time to make a pivot. And yet, what are they doing right now? All of that spending all year, you know, sent inflation to 40-year highs. What are they doing right now? They're pushing another Build Back Better spending plan. Chuck Schumer talking to Joe Manchin, trying to get him involved so that they can have a reconciliation package. They don't see what's going on. Or does San Francisco register?
Well, election after election, remember Virginia, remember how close New Jersey was.
Yeah.
Remember how really the president's ratings are 40% or below. Those are unelectable ratings. They are not pivoting. They are going to go to the election and say, these are our policies, up or down. And the pivot, maybe it will come after the election or not at all.
And it's all this green agenda, climate agenda that is reverberating in all agencies. A Washington Post opinion column admitting Democrats are in for a monumental loss in November, but claims it is not that bad. Writing to Democrats, quote, the good news is that getting blown out in 2022 may well be the only path you have to holding the White House in 2024. Explain that math to me, Mark.
Look, being blown out is not a good thing for the Democratic Party. It's going to shrink it. Now, the Democratic Party's gone through this before. That's how Bill Clinton came and redid the Democratic Party. I think last night you saw moderate voters, even in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco, reasserting themselves and saying, you know what? If it results in no borders, too much crime, inflation that we can't control, we're going to need new policies, even as Democrats. Moderate Democrats could be back in another cycle.
Well, talk about independents, and you're right, moderate Democrats is a group to look at. But when you look at the independents, the Hispanic community, the black community, they're increasingly going toward the GOP, aren't they?
Well, you are seeing, particularly in the Hispanic community, almost 50-50 in approval of the president and Democratic policies. That is a sea change in American politics if that holds up. I don't think we've seen it in a general election yet, but let's face it. It's a consensus view that this administration has taken the country in the wrong direction. Yeah. Just as it's a consensus view that some of these DAs have been wrong and let crime flourish.
And that San Francisco DA, that's Nancy Pelosi's district. Haven't heard any comments from her. on the recall. Yeah.
Pelosi is actually one of the least popular people in the country. So I don't think that you're going to see Nancy Pelosi in the seat of power come this election.
Who do they have for 2024, real quick?
Biden still says he's going to run. Harris is second. Buttigieg is the only other person so far.
That's it.
I think we don't know who the Democratic candidate will be if Biden decides not to run. But it looks like he wants to run.
That's, to me, extraordinary. Mark, great to get your insights. Thank you so much. Mark Penn joining us.